In this video, I'm gonna talk about Gunfire Reborn. Ever since the pandemic lockdown began, I found myself longing for something that had been taken away from me. No, it is not the conversation at the water cooler. There are two types of people in the world, those who hate water cooler talk and dirty fucking liars. The water cooler is a procrastination station where two people take their mind off whatever bullshit they are working on while pretending to have small talk with each other. No, the great casualty of the pandemic has been the moments in which you take your mind off the job over a couple pints of beer. You could be with some of your good colleagues to talk about that one asshole customer everybody got. You could be with some of your good friends to talk about that one asshole colleague everybody got. Or you could simply be in random neighborly company, and all of you speak of nothing of consequence. For a great many of us, these moments are now few and far in between. We have relinquished the commute to those who actually do need to be there. We have gotten cleaner air, we have reduced traffic levels, and all of that is in danger of undoing itself thanks to the money and power of overpriced downtown restaurants and of people with suits and ties who masturbate to asses in seats. I will not deny that some form of social interaction is good for the soul. I will, however, specify that I will help myself to that interaction on my own schedule, not when I have to deliver a TPS report on a tight deadline, not when somebody approaches me and starts talking while I have my headphones on, not when the phrase I hear the most in a day is, "Hey, have you got a minute?" I needed a way to become an unproductive sovereign once again. I needed something that was not a task or a project. The average video game tends to have a progression towards a definite end, and once that is attained, there is no reason to play the game anymore. It can be put away, uninstalled, and forgotten as another checkmark onto life's long list of things that can be done. Initially, this one seems like another one of those. Get into the dungeon, earn your blue coins, spend the blue coins into permanent upgrades, and then do it over again. Keep at it until you have beaten the game, and then keep going until you have beaten the next difficulty level. And once you have done even that, keep going to become more competent, more consistent, and have a plan for everything the game throws at you. Each run starts you off with nothing in your hands, and competence is not achieved by way of shooting precision, but by having a mental book of strategies to cope with whether or not the game will hand you equipment that suit your abilities. It may deal a good hand, and it is smooth sailing towards a new personal record. Or it may deal a shit hand, and you have to scramble with your loadout to make whatever lemonade out of your lemons. Find the right combination, and you can make ground beef out of anything that stands in your path. Fail to do so, and nearly every room is a fight for basic survival. The latter happens more often than not on the first few runs, and then as you gain power and unlock new weapons, you gain more opportunities to perfect your build of the moment. Interestingly, the upgrades affect you, the player, and not you, the character. The characters themselves have maybe 4 or 5 abilities to unlock, and they are tiny additions compared to the global player skill tree. It means that you can hone your gameplay onto any character of your choosing without the feeling that you are starting over from scratch. The characters themselves are dog, cat, bird, tiger, bunny, turtle, monkey, and fox. That is what the community calls them. I am not even kidding. You can try remembering their Chinese names if you really want to, but I am not certain that it would even be worth a self-congratulatory post on LinkedIn. The game has 2 modes. The basic adventure mode has you going through levels and beating enemies and bosses until you beat the last one or you die, whichever comes first. Spiritual Assault puts you into a survival arena in which you rapidly obtain weapons and bonuses as you deal with an escalating clusterfuck. Thank goodness, the game throws you a bone by making you invincible whenever you have the menu open, so that you can make informed decisions about your build with a little less pressure on your shoulders than expected. The single-player experience is absolutely nothing new for the common of mortals. It offers something to do with a set of mechanics, and the remainder of the gameplay is a way to kill roughly an hour of time. To play this game in single player is, if I can put it in Ralphie's words, to bypass the experience comprehensively. The multiplayer portion introduces a great many mechanics that do not and cannot exist in single player. Notably, yourself and your teammates can freely give equipment to each other. What drops on the ground usually starts off as visible to only yourself, but you have the option of sharing the item with your team if you do not want it. In the same vein, you can drop almost anything you are carrying if you realize that it would better benefit somebody else. It becomes a crucial part of any multiplayer run, as yourself and your teammates will occasionally stop and then swap equipment in order to maximize your potential. This can be up to and including giving nearly everything away because you got dealt a shit hand and it makes more sense for your buddies to carry you. The end result is the same, and you earn the same rewards no matter who did what during the run. It is actually pretty common for high-level players to happily carry low-level ones, because in the long run, everybody wins. The matchmaking feature works to an ish extent, but the real gold can be found on the official Discord server, in which LFG channels and voice chat features make the experience complete. Silent co-op multiplayer is a bane that I would not even wish onto a genocidal dictator, and the noises of conversation become the main subject of memories over the shooting guns and the exploding enemies. As of March 2023, the game has been out for roughly a year and a half, and the community has decanted into recognizable regulars and passing visitors. Finding partners to play with can be more or less challenging, depending on the time of year, the time of day, the part of the country, and whether or not your kitchen is on fire. Patience is rewarded with companions first and teammates second. In truth, I can remember some of the builds that benefit my chosen character, but I remember them less than the interaction and the quips I exchange with folks of all ages and walks of life. I remember the builds less than I remember the times I was the subject matter expert in the room, and it was my turn to explain some of the finer concepts. The gameplay itself fades into the background at the benefit of talking about the gameplay. And then, the talk about the gameplay gets relegated aside in favor of talking about everything and nothing in particular. Long after unlocking the highest difficulty and leveling up all the skills, there remains a reason to come back. There is camaraderie to be found in a neutral ground where one's baggage does not matter, and playful conversation becomes the main driving factor. You get to speak with people you have never met before, and they are people who are neither family or colleagues. They just happen to be near you for a couple of hours, and you enjoy each other's company without any strings attached. When it is over, nobody remembers what exactly they talked about, but they all have a warm smile on their faces.
Yeah, it's off of how many projectiles.
In short, this game is the third place.